Level up your LA Kings experience with Vivid Seats Elite Seats. All the on-ice Kings action with even more exclusive access and rewards. Enjoy great seats to the game in Section 103 along with Yamava Club access and parking included with your purchase. Plus, get a free Team LA Kings shop item at the game. Score your Vivid Seats Elite Seats tickets today and earn perks on each purchase from the only leading ticket company with a rewards program. Experience it live with Vivid Seats, the official partner of the LA Kings. Do you know the LA Kings have their own culinary partner? It's Superfood, celebrating 10 years and over 1 million meals served. Since 2020, the Kings have trusted Superfood to fuel their players. Now through Simply Lunch, you can bring that same performance-driven food to your office. Because when people eat better, they work better. Visit mysuperfood.com. That's mysuperfd.com. Or call 213-973-6145. Qualified companies can enjoy a free lunch for up to 10 managers.
You're listening to All the Kings Men, the official podcast of the LA Kings. Now, here's your host, Jesse Cohen.
Welcome back, Kings fans. This is All the Kings Men. I'm Jesse Cohen. Joining me today, Zach Dooley. How are you doing today, Zach?
Jesse, I'll be honest. Like, you listen to all the chatter about free agency, right? And you're like, it's going to be a dud. And then all of a sudden it's not. It's the Jesse Cohenism of like every time everyone expects something to happen,
exactly,
the opposite happens, you know?
Shame on me for not seeing this coming. But yes,
you went against yourself.
Year, trade deadline, free agency, whatever it is, everybody, the draft, everybody gets all excited. All these things are going to happen. And very rarely does it live up to the hype. I felt like today, free agency day, 100% lived up to the hype. If I had not woken up early, if I had thought to myself, you know what, it's fine, I'll wake up at 10 and get caught up. Not that it makes any difference. I would have still gotten caught up, but I would have missed out on a lot, frankly. I mean, it started.
Yeah.
It started before it started. The news started hitting my phone at like, I don't know, 7 or 8 a.m.
Yeah, and it just kept going, right? Like, and it's still, I mean, we're recording at about 3 o'clock Pacific.
Yeah,
and
it's
still
not even
really hasn't
done.
stopped.
Yeah.
Within the last 30 minutes, we've seen a couple of other signings, trades. Like, the amount of trades today is maybe what caught me off guard just as much, because you kind of thought like, okay, the trades would be before and then the trades would be after. But several trades around the league today on top of, the free agency. I mean, we were talking yesterday, like, would we even do a reaction episode if the Kings maybe signed only Eric Halla, right? Or like they make they sign the then
or
they
Eric
make
Gustafson.
several moves.
If Eric Gustafson was the only signing they did, then
what would we have to talk about? Like, well, we could talk about him for 5 minutes and that's it. But like the Kings made several moves. The league was very, very active and remains very active. It was just a lot going on.
And honestly, some of the biggest stories were things that didn't happen. So, Zach Werenski, it was just announced publicly a few moments ago, not leaving Columbus. Okay, that nukes that story. I don't remember how many days ago it was that Steve Yzerman essentially came out and said, Dylan Larkin, we expect to see you back in camp. Jason Robertson has not been traded. So like all of these stories that everybody sort of thought were gaining traction, nothing. But we're here to talk about the Kings
as well, right? Like yesterday, Kevin Weeks has Kevin Hellebuck with an eyeballs emoji, and he's and like Kevin Weeks is extremely reliable. So clearly something, but hasn't happened yet, and it's a lot of big pieces.
But as we said, we're here to talk about the Kings, and the Kings made, I would say, at least 4 moves of consequence, I would argue. And
potentially, one more, if not more than that, to come.
And I mean, they made more than just 4 moves, but I mean, like, no disrespect to Yan Yannick, but like, maybe he gets an opportunity, shines out, and has himself a heck of a year. But I mean, he's presumably going to start the season in Ontario. But let's just start with Matt Zuccarello, because I think that's probably the biggest name. He'll be 39 when the season starts. But Matt Zuccarello signs with the Kings, 1-year deal. I was not expecting him to be as personable as he was. We've had a media.
He was awesome, huh?
He was great. Yeah. Really wasn't expecting that. Really wasn't expecting him to be. He's. I don't even know how to say this. Like, he is conversantly fluent in English while at the same time struggling with English.
Well, he he kind of speaks a little bit like Adrian Kempe in that he just
Yeah.
says a lot, like, and I think that is something with,
But he has all
maybe
the
people
idioms,
who,
all the
yeah,
expressions, the slang. Like he obviously knows what he
he was
wants to
cracking
say.
jokes, like he
Yeah,
was
he
really
just has a thick
personable.
accent and
Yeah,
isn't like. But it was. I mean, it was a really great call. It was a really funny call.
it really was, and I felt like I learned a lot from it.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the Kings, I don't know what the pitch was to Matt Zuccarello, but whatever it was, made that guy feel extremely valued here.
Yes,
Clearly,
well,
right?
I mean, what he did not discuss, but Ken Holland did, was the bonus structure on his contract.
Right, which
And
is extremely lucrative and
yeah,
very likely to
that'll make
be
you feel
the Kings.
wanted. Yeah.
Very likely to,
Um,
but and even if you said, okay, the Kings signed Matt Zuccarello to a 1 year, $6 million contract,
mhm.
it's all salary. I think I would have been like, okay, like that's almost a point per game player last year. I know he's old, but the term is low. You'd be pretty happy with that. The bonuses give the Kings a lot of flexibility, right? They can roll that money to next year if needed, or
Mhm.
they can pay it out this year depending on how things go. Um, just not a guy that I really had on the radar. I think I just
No.
in my head assumed that he was going back to Minnesota because he's an older player. He's been there 7 years. I think I was just like, oh, it's inevitable that he will go back. And then it turns out from talking to him, like it was never on the table for him to go
Yeah.
back. He knew he'd be leaving. And the Kings had a guy who had 54 points in 59 games played last year. He's a routine 50 to 60 point guy, a power play guy. He does all the things that the Kings needed. Um, Not a long term fit, right? He's 38 years old, but it's a 1 year deal. And that one was really exciting for me between the player and the contract.
For me, what he does is make the conversation about who's going to be the center infinitely more interesting because
Way
two
more.
days ago,
Yeah.
2 days ago, the question was, oh my gosh, are they really going to start the season with either Kempe or Laferriere playing center? And now my curiosity is, okay, I actually think it makes the most sense for them to play one of those two at center. But
Agree.
now there's a
Yeah.
much more interesting conversation of which one it is because Zuccarello played in Minnesota with Kevin Fiala, but never played with Kevin Fiala. They
Yeah.
were
They
always
weren't
on
really line
different
mates, right?
lines.
Yeah.
So, but he played with Kaprizov and had success with Kaprizov. So you go, all right,
Yeah.
well, does it make sense to move Kempe to center and have Panarin, Kempe, and Zuccarello and just load up on, high, like, Ken Holland talked about the type of player that Zuccarello is, and he's a facilitator, and he's a
Yeah.
one who creates offense. We know that Panarin has a similar game. We know that all three of them can bury the puck when that the three of them being Kempe, Panarin, and Zuccarello. So is that the move, or is the move Zuccarello and Fiala on a line? Do you put Byfield in between Kempe? Do you keep Kempe on the wing? Like it just makes it way more interesting. Whereas a few
There's
days
so
ago it was,
many things they could
yeah,
do. Yeah.
a few days
It
ago it was sort of like, oh, okay, well, I guess these are the options. That's okay. But now it's like, oh, well, this is now a much more interesting puzzle. To
Here's
me,
what I
anyway.
heard from Ken Holland, and I don't know if you heard it the same way, was
Mm-hmm.
he sees Panarin and Zuccarello stylistically very similar, which
Yes,
to
I heard
me
that. Yeah,
makes me think that they will play on different lines based on what he
that's
said, right? He
yeah.
said that they
Mm-hmm.
operate like centers in the ozone with how they distribute the puck.
Mm-hmm.
That gave me that sense is like, okay, they might not play together, they might split them up. But the conversation is equally fascinating, right? Because it could be Kempe or Laferriere. And now you have arguably seven forwards who I think could argue are top six forwards.
Mm-hmm.
If you depending on how you think of Moore and Laferriere, are they middle six or top six? We're splitting
Right.
hairs, but like all seven of those guys have played in the top six for stretches of their career. And now that to me, I agree with you. Like my thought from the start was, okay, if you can't get a legitimate center, that's obviously plan A, right? Go get a legitimate center.
Mm-hmm.
If the in the top six center, if you can't do that, why stretch someone when you could just move the pieces around and add a player like
Right.
Zuccarello, who is undoubtedly a top six winger?
Yeah, and
Now,
I did hear exactly what you heard about his description of Zuccarello. My only, and it's not even a pushback. I'm just, again, it's to me, it's just an interesting puzzle. The only thought
very,
I have then
yeah,
is that, like, okay, Fiala, it's not as if Fiala plays a radically different game to Zuccarello and Panarin. So and it's not as if Fiala is huge. So then if you have a line with
Three
Fiala,
smaller guys, yeah.
Zuccarello, and fill in the blank, who is it? Well, then like
Yeah.
who's doing the other stuff, right? Whereas we know
Yeah.
Kempe can skate back and play D. We know he's physically large and imposing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
just like I said, to me, the signing just makes the conversation a conversation that I was not looking forward to. Now it just makes it, like I said, exponentially
Way
more
more.
Yeah.
I think so too. And then the other part, I mean, you and I just talked with Peter Laviolette yesterday. Episode will come out soon, and he pumped the brakes on a lot of things, right? He said like, yeah, like I have talked with Adrian Kempe. We talked about that he played center in the past, that he's open to doing it again. But he said, let me see who I have in camp. Like, it's only July 1st. The Kings could make additional moves that change this conversation entirely, right? Like, what it certainly seems like there is still a desire to add to the blue line, which means you also have to subtract from the blue line. The Kings could easily package forwards if they wanted to change the mix at all. Like, okay, we got a winger, we got Holla, we got Lawton. Well, maybe we could move on from. I don't know. There's still a lot of things that I think could be done that change this conversation that we're having too. Like, we know what the roster looks like today. If the Kings played tomorrow, you and I could take our best crack at the lineup. But like, I don't know. There's 3 months till the Kings play a game. Like, there could be a name we're not even talking about who is in the opening night lineup.
And all of this assumes that you and I are correct as far as who are top 6 and who are bottom 6 forwards, because this will bridge us into the next large name signing the Kings made, which is Eric Howla. Now,
for sure,
partially based on his reputation, partially based on his resume, partially based on what we heard Peter Laviolette say to us yesterday, my assumption is that Howla is third line center and will play third line / PK role with Armia in a much more, and this comes just from what I heard Laviolette say. Maybe you heard it differently, but I heard him basically when we were talking to him about his philosophy on whether you stack offensive superstars on one line or spread them out through the lineup. The description that I heard him give of how a team is constructed is like how
I heard the same thing.
How I would have built my team when I was playing video games when I was a kid. Scoring 1, scoring
it's
2,
2-1-1, right?
Yeah, and then maybe energy 4 or maybe physical 4, however you want to use your fourth line. So in that version of this team, I was like, I was looking at the roster and I'm like, oh, okay, so your third line is more Howla and Armia. And then PK1 is Howla and Armia over the boards and go from there. But maybe Byfield is the number 1 center. Maybe Howla's the number 2 center. Maybe Lawton's the number 3 center. Maybe Hellenius is the number 4 center. Like, again, picking up Eric Howla makes what was previously a conversation that I wasn't super curious about or interested in now, again, exponentially more interesting and more options are opened up. And I just really wasn't expecting it from today. I just thought, I thought the roster would look pretty similar, frankly, and it doesn't at all.
I am definitely surprised that the Kings got 3 forwards in that vein, right? 3 forwards who likely will play in the top 9. That definitely caught me. And I'm in agreement with you that I think the best usage of the players here is to move one of those guys to center. However, I mean, Ken did speak about a Holla and a Lawton both as being centers. But with the way that Peter Laviolette talked about his makeup, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the 2 of them both played on the third line. Like, one's at center. Both Lawton and Holla have played wing substantially. Holla's an elite penalty killer. The Holla-Armia pair feels very likely, right, to play together on the penalty kill.
But honestly, I thought Armia was going to be way more leaned on the penalty kill last year, and he wasn't.
Yeah,
I mean, he was really leaned on, but not as much as I thought he would be. So who knows?
He wasn't the first guy over the boards, right? Yeah. Like, whereas we both, I think, thought that he would have been. The conversation got a heck of a lot more fascinating, right? As you said, like, we could go back and forth for 2 hours about the makeup. Like, I think it's really interesting. And, as we sit here right now, we know Ken Holland said that Scott Lawton seems like kind of verbally agreed. Like, there's an agreement to a 3-year contract. He didn't disclose the AAV. And from what he said, this was not a signed, sealed, delivered situation. It was more of an agreed to. situation. So we don't know 100% where that's going to go. But if that does happen, he and Halla aren't the same player, but to me, they kind of fill the same role. But if you're building the team the way that Peter Laviolette told us he wants to, with that checking line, that's what those guys have done, right? Like they can lug those defensive zone draws. Lawton and Halla are both 50+% guys in the dot. They both kill penalties. They both take pride in those areas of the game. And neither player was signed to an egregious contract. So we don't know Lawton's AAV, but 2 years and 3 years, that's important too, because we can talk all day about this, but the Kings do still have holes higher in the lineup. And I think it was important that all the players signed today don't prevent them from filling those holes, whether it's this summer, in season, or further down the road. And I don't think any of these contracts really prevent them from making the upgrades they need if they present themselves later.
Nothing they did today does. I think just the pre-existing status of everything they already had. The chat, like it didn't. Their job didn't get any easier today, but it also didn't get any harder.
Right.
They also added
to make
Corey
certain
Perry,
additions. You need subtractions, right?
Yeah. Like, yes. Precisely. Yeah. Like, but they didn't. I mean, honestly, like I'm just surprised that they pulled everything off. So I just mentioned it. They're bringing back Corey Perry, which listen, he played well last year, so it's hard to have a problem with it. He is 41, so we'll see. But like I said, he played perfectly well last year. In fact, he was their best player some nights. So
there were nights. I mean, that he earned points. Like his goals were 100%. The direct reason they got. Like, look, Perry, he's going to play the role that he played. Right, it's probably going to be on the fourth line on the right. Might get some power play time. Might bump up at certain times. He is exactly who he is. Right, he's not a fleet of foot skater. He's excellent in those tight areas. And I don't know, it seemed like a good fit last year. He seemed well liked. He seemed to really like it here. So to bring him in, get a second round pick for him, and bring him back on a cheaper deal, I don't know. I don't have any issue with a fourth line signing, really, of any kind. No. You want to sign anyone in the league for $1 million, it's fine with me. If someone all the better.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw out the last two names that we know about: Eric Gustafsson and Scott Perunovich. Both signed. Ken Holland mentioned them in his media availability. Both left shot defensemen. Lane Pedersen and Jan Yannick both signed, both forwards. Yep. I would expect all of them to compete at camp, but most likely they will not play. Like I'm expecting Gustafsson to be the 7D.
I think
based on his resume,
right?
Like
you look at what Gustafsson, Perunovic, and probably Angus Booth as being in that conversation. Yeah. And again, there's 3 months, right? Like who knows what else happens with that group. Kings have been linked to a few defensemen. They've publicly stated they want some different attributes. That's the guys they signed, right? They are the different attributes. They're not proven NHL guys, or Gustafsson was, but he's, played most of last year in the AHL, but like 2 puck movers for sure. They're not the bigger defensive minded guys. They are puck moving defensemen.
But when it comes to Gustafsson, I just feel like this is where someone has to start getting good at reading between the lines. Like they signed him to a contract. He's 34 years old. He has 517 NHL games under his belt, but he spent most of last season in the AHL.
The bulk, yeah.
But Ken Holland highlighted the role he could play on an NHL roster.
Yeah.
So if one of these 6 guys that Ken Holland has already said is under contract can't play 82 games, and let's face it, that's stuff happens.
More likely than not. That's
yeah. Then you have Eric Gustafsson with 517 NHL games currently under contract.
Yeah.
And if Eric Gustafsson only makes it into 5 to 10 games in an LA Kings uniform, I don't think the fan base will revolt.
I don't think so.
And if Eric Gustafsson gets into 41 NHL games in an LA Kings uniform because of injuries or suspensions or whatever, again, if he's capable of holding down those minutes and contributing to wins, then great. So be it. So, there you have it. Now, as far as
Can I add one thing there too?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Like last year, I think that it really hurt the Kings that they didn't have that different profile, even as an option. Like if
Mhm.
there was never a time when the Kings really could have changed the makeup of their blue line, because Jacob Moverara played the same way. He was a
Right.
defensive first defenseman. He not a great
Right.
skater, extremely high IQ, good defender, but he didn't bring anything different, right? Like if you wanted to plug him in for someone
Yeah.
who was struggling, or you wanted to go at 7, you then just had another guy who did the same thing.
Yeah.
If they had a guy like a Gustafsson type as the 7th, then they could have changed some things if they wanted to try it, right? Like if they wanted to go 11-7 with an extra puck mover, they could have done that. Or if they wanted to make a change on the third pair due to performance, they could have done that. Now at least it gives Peter Laviolette a chance to try something like that if he wants to. Holland highlighted that Laviolette has coached Eric Gustafsson in 2 different cities. So I can't imagine they make this signing if Peter Laviolette doesn't like this player. He seems to have some of the attributes that Peter Laviolette likes. So I don't know, maybe his role could be even larger than we're thinking of it. Like
so Holland
maybe he
also
competes for
mentioned
a spot, in the opening.
Yeah, I mean
six.
Holland mentioned that he can quarterback a second power play unit if need be. I am not. I mean, who knows, right? It's as not Ken Holland, as Peter Laviolette told us a bunch of times, that there's still plenty of summer. We haven't even broken camp.
A lot of time.
He said June 30th, but as we're recording this, it's July 1st. But I just look at the contracts, the resumes, and the status of the 6 guys the Kings have under contract, and I go, okay, I just don't expect Eric Gustafsson to steal a spot from one of the 3 left shot defensemen who are under contract, just based on how much money they earn. Now, if one of those guys is traded or something happens, who knows? We'll see. But what is interesting is, like let's say we reach game 20 and the power play is struggling.
Yeah.
And Laviolette wants to tweak something. Yeah, to your point, that is now an option. Whereas in previous years, you're not going to put Jacob Moverare in to fix the power play. Like, although I did
now
seriously
it's an option.
When
it's an option.
But yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think talking about the power play is sort of a perfect transition, because the one thing, and I don't know if you heard it the same way I did when we were talking to Laviolette, he talks a lot about special teams.
Yeah.
I should say he brings it up more than the media or you or I bring it up, right? He's always the one to introduce it into the conversation. And I felt like the moves they made today, if nothing else, really improve or should improve the special teams. Because Howle's a penalty killer. Zuccarello's a power play guy. Gustafsson, for whatever role he may or may not wind up playing, can be a power play guy. And so you look at the team and you go, all right, 5-on-5, we know what the team's numbers have been. And we know that Laviolette is going to play the game or coach the game fundamentally differently than previous coaches have. But special teams, they should be solid on special teams. Like, they have offensive firepower in a power play setting where you gain possession of the power play and you're not playing a 3-zone game and you're just whipping the puck around between Zuccarello, Fiala, Panarin, Kempe, Byfield. You know what I mean? Like, they've got the firepower. And then on the penalty kill, I mean, listen, I was looking at it because I could have sworn I remembered it. Like, Armia and Haula were killing penalties in Finland and scoring shorthanded goals. So, like, they improved. That to me was, there were 4 categories the Kings that I heard them say that they wanted to improve: center depth, defense, goaltending, and special teams, which is funny to me because that's sort of everything.
Pretty much the whole team,
yeah. But they improved their center depth. They should hopefully have addressed the special teams. Goaltending, I think you have to just hope that Kemper rebounds and, trust that he was playing well before he got the concussion last year. Or the collision, I should say. And then defense, we'll see. It's July 1st, so who knows? But given how much space I thought they had to work with, I thought a very tidy day's work out of Ken Holland.
Yeah, exactly. And I think in both short and long term, because in the long term side being more that these aren't players who will restrict them, in my opinion, in the long term. Like you said, the deal's already in place, more restrictive than the deal signed today. I looked up some special team stuff. Like, Zuccarello would have led the Kings last year in power play points, and he missed 23 games.
That's right.
And Haula's goals against per 60 was in the top 10 in the league on the PK. So I don't know how to really measure like PK effectiveness, but if you are on the ice for not a lot of goals and you kill routinely, I think that's good. So we'll just
That
go with
seems
that.
like a good place to start. Yeah.
It's like Ken Holland has brought special teams up a million times. Every time he has
Mhm.
spoken, right, special teams has come up. Peter Laviolette has brought it up. Like, I think you're right. They clearly have a lot more focus on that than maybe we do or the general
Yeah.
conversation does. But it's so spot on. Like if you're good on special teams, that could be the difference of a goal or 2 goals in a game.
Mhm.
Like that's going to lead to points, just even if it's only what
Excuse me.
10-15% of the game. Like,
Yeah.
it's much more impactful than 10 to 15% of the game.
And I mean, I've said this now to a few people already who have reached out to me. I may not be like over the moon thrilled at any of the moves they made today, but I don't feel
Mhm.
bad about any of them. And, like, so, and when I say I don't mean like I'm not thrilled, I just mean like if I woke up and they said, oh my God, Connor McDavid, an LA King, I'd be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh my God,
Oh
like
my
there's,
God. Yeah.
there's nothing like that. But,
Sure.
but the fact that none of the contracts are longer than Peter Laviolette's, to
Mhm.
me is the biggest part of this. And you and I were talking about this yesterday, and I don't know how many people agree with me on this, but given the length of the contracts for Holland and Laviolette and Panarin and Doughty and, et cetera, and the rest of them,
Yeah.
this team could look very different 2 or 3 years down the road. And there is nothing they did today that would disrupt however those changes happen, whatever the changes need to be, whatever players are available in whatever summer is coming, whatever, none of it interferes with any of it. They have a window, they're taking advantage of it, but they're clearly not pushing, they haven't painted themselves into any future corners, I guess is what I'm getting at. I'm just
Yeah,
really impressed
exactly.
with what they did. I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting it, frankly.
The Zuccarello is just the perfect embody. Like, I never would have
Yeah,
thought that one would have come in,
right.
and you're like, oh, that's such a good move.
Yep.
Like, I don't know if I said it to you or so. Like, the Kings have holes on the roster that they simply could not fill today.
Right.
Like, there are things that they need to truly get to where they want to get to that just were not available in the free agent market. And maybe they're available via trade later in the summer. Maybe they're not available till in season. Maybe they're not available till next summer or 2 summers. But I think what would have been the wrong choice would have been to have, like you said, painted yourself into a corner by overpaying term and dollars on depth. I think the Kings did do that last summer, and I think that they did not do that this summer. And I think that
Yeah.
was a big step forward.
And I will say this, I think that the team is unquestionably better than it was 3 days ago.
Yeah,
Like,
I was just thinking that. Yeah,
like
too.
there's no question they've improved the roster in one day.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not the team is better than it was at the end of this season or the end of last season remains to be seen, and that's why they play the games and blah blah blah. But I mean, unquestionably, they're better than they were 2 days ago. And the Zuccarello thing, or I'll say the Kempe at center, Laferriere at center, the center debate. This is one of the reasons that I get aggravated with people when they talk about made up stuff like, oh my gosh, are they going to trade for Austin Matthews in like February or something? And it's like, well, no, they're not. But then when the conversation comes up of, oh, well, maybe the top line is Panarin, Kempe, and Zuccarello, which is like I said, it's a way more interesting conversation today than it was 3 days ago.
In terms of the pieces, that would be the best top line in a while. Like, obviously,
I think so, yeah.
There's not a natural center in that mix, but like, that's a player who recently had 100 points, a player who recently scored 40 goals, and a player who was just shy of a point per game pace. Like, when's the last time the Kings had those 3 players on the entire roster?
When you compare it to the myth and the lie of, oh, Austin Matthews, then you're like, oh,
sure,
what are we doing?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, okay, but the first thing was never real in the first place.
Right.
Whereas had they just said, like when Andrei Kopitar signed his 2-year contract extension 2 years ago, had they just said, we've begun discussions with Adrian Kempe about the potential of moving him to center at the end of 2 years, there might have been some grumbling, but nobody would throw their hands up in the air and be like, you couldn't get Trocheck, or you couldn't get Pettersson, or you couldn't get Matthew, whatever, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. But it's that building of those sort of impossible narratives that then when cold hard reality shows up, that's when people get bent out of shape. Anyway, for a free agency day that I genuinely thought I would sort of wake up, maybe do some dusting, maybe maybe just putter around the house a little bit. I was sort of locked onto my laptop and texting my my dad and everybody else and just trying to figure out what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that it was like, okay, it's not done. Like, the Zuccarello news, that's what swung the day for me, because it was like, okay, Eric Holla was a name that I had heard before. Zuccarello is a name that I had never heard. It's like Holla was unsurprising to me, especially when you think, okay, the Kings were probably going to sign a 3C. Okay, Eric Holla makes sense, whatever.
Right.
The Zuccarello news just completely swung the day for me, because in your head, you're like, yeah, like it'd be what we're talking about made sense to us. Like, okay, you get a winger, you move someone into center and you do that. But like, then they get Zuccarello and then it's like, oh, it's a great term. Okay, yeah, the bonuses in that deal are aggressive. But it's still 1 year. And this is a player who, like, these were all positives, and that swung the day for me, and everything else just seemed to like slot in accordingly after that.
And with the additional AHL signings that they made, I'm sure there will be more signings from between now and training camp, because every team signs guys to, lower level contracts, and the Reign have to sort out their management, and then they'll have to fill out blah, 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 blah. But I mean, I'm looking at the organizational depth chart, and they've got 2 rosters worth of guys. And, there's still some extra bodies. Like, I still don't know what the goaltending is going to look like. If Scott Laughton does, in fact, return, I've got one too many NHL players on the roster, so they'll have to sort out. Does somebody go back to Ontario? Do they need to make a trade? Like, I wasn't factoring that into my thought process 2 days ago. But now it's like, all right, well, who knows?
Yeah.
They got older, which is, something.
Hard to believe.
Yeah. Well, I saw somebody online somewhere say that if the roster holds, they would enter next season as the oldest.
I saw that
team
too. Yeah.
in league history, which is, listen, I get it. If people want to be, if you think they should have gone a different direction, I get it. But I just, like I said, from my perspective, I woke up this morning not thinking that the conversation would get more interesting. And as near as I can tell, that's what happened. The conversation got way more interesting. And now training camp will actually be, like, there will be things that need to be decided. Whereas that wasn't necessarily the case.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Short reaction, but I mean, we kind of said what happened. And then, listen, it's July 1st. Trades could still happen. Free agent signings could still happen. All sorts of stuff could still happen. So stay tuned, and we'll bring you news if anything happens. Also, as we have alluded to a number of times, we talked to Peter Laviolette yesterday. That conversation will be available soon. Dev camp is still going on. And, thanks for watching, Kings fans. We'll talk to you soon.